Adventures with Flowers TV with me, Kendall Platt. Hey Nadia, nice to see you. You will have, if you've seen this advertised, you will know that I'm calling this a garden and chat session. So do come and join me for 20 minutes of time in your garden. I'm going to be chatting about a topic that has been coming up recently for me quite a lot, and I think it's probably something that we can all relate to as women, and I would love to know your thoughts. I think it's only paid members of the Seed, my membership, my gardening membership, that can comment. So please do dive into the comments and let me know your thoughts on this as well. And if you would love to come and join our merry band of seedlings, we would be delighted to have you. So today, the topic I really want to talk about, I'm going to do some seed sowing while we do this, by the way. I'm just seeing a rather large spider that I'm going to get rid of. I do adore spiders, but I don't want one crawling over my face while I'm talking to you. So yeah, I'm going to be doing some seed sowing while I chat to you. But today I really want to talk about a topic that is kind of close to my heart, and that topic is my body is the least interesting thing about me. So I have in the last year or so started doing Pilates. Now, I don't want to sound like one of those Pilates wankers. That is not my intention at all. But I started doing it really because it actually really helps me to focus. So if you don't know much about me, I have ADHD and my brain is very busy. And I have always struggled to kind of stick to, or I've never found any exercise that really kind of appeals to me. But I can do Pilates because I do 20 minutes a day while my kids are eating their breakfast. They are, and invariably the little one finishes her breakfast and then comes and like clambers all over me, which is interesting. But it's something that I can fit in around the kids. And I wrote an article which I have got pinned on my profile. Hey Sarah, that is called 5 Things I Did in 2024 that Transformed My Life, and Pilates is one of them. And I link there to the app that I use that has these 20-minute activities, which really helps me. Now the reason I started doing that was because I knew that I needed to do some form of exercise, and also to claim a little bit of time for myself every day. So I already garden regularly. That's like my time for myself. But I knew that I wanted to do something that meant that I could move my body as well. So I chose Pilates. Now, what has happened as a byproduct of the fact that I kind of just committed to that 20 minutes a day for me. I wasn't like doing it to lose weight or to get skinny or any of that kind of crap, because I don't believe in that, which is what we're going to talk about here. But what happened because of that was that I did lose weight and I have got a lot stronger. So now I am actually strong. I can, lift the heavy watering can and the bucket full of weeds that I was carting around the garden yesterday without feeling like, oh, my back's going to go or whatever. So, but what that has meant is that I have slimmed down a lot, because I've got stronger. I've had 2 babies. Didn't have time for a lot of exercise like after I had them, especially my youngest one is nearly 3 now. And so what that has meant is that my body shape has changed quite considerably in the last year or so. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because the weather's warming up here in the UK. But I keep getting people coming to me and saying, oh, wow, don't you look amazing? You look so good. You look so slim, blah, 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 blah. And every time they say it, I just feel so fucking awkward. I feel like 2 things. I want to kind of scream at them, like, for fuck's sake, I'm not just like what I look like. I'm so much more than that. I have so many more interesting things about me than just how I look. But the thing that I find really difficult is that quite often they say these things in front of my kids. Now, I don't want my kids to grow up thinking that like the most important thing about them is how they look. Because I think, my husband and I make a real effort to teach our kids that actually, it's far more important that you're kind, or that you, look after people, or that you, I don't know, you create things, you can do lovely drawings and all of those kind of things that we try and teach our kids. So when people say to me, oh my God, don't you look amazing? Like, you look fantastic, I just feel really fucking awkward. Hey Joe, nice to see you. Joe is one of our seedlings, which is why she's able to comment in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on this as well, Joe, because I think we're probably along a similar vein. But I just feel like when we reduce people to what they look like, it's it's just shit, really. Like, why? I know our society is so obsessed with what we look like, especially with all this, the skinny jabs and all of that coming back. And somebody mentioned something about Topshop making a comeback, which is kind of terrifying because, that kind of brought me out in hives when I thought about my relationship with Topshop and the fact that like the max they went up to was like a size 16. So yeah, what's Joe said here, definitely I had to unlearn this when I became a mum. Yeah, this is the thing, like your body changes so much when you become a mum, and you have way less time for yourself to prioritize yourself. So by its very nature, any kind of movement that you might be doing, if you're sort of nap trapped under a small baby or whatever, that's not going to be happening. So I think that for me, I can never hide my like displeasure because I have one of these faces that's like super expressive. And when people say things to me, like it literally happened to me yesterday, I I literally just can't hide it in my face, and I just like look really uncomfortable. My whole body feels uncomfortable, but I haven't yet got to the stage where I feel confident enough to say to people, actually, my body is the least interesting thing about me, because I feel like they're not doing it in a horrible way. They're not doing it to, they're trying to give me a compliment, because in their eyes, being skinny or slim or strong or having a figure that fits like societal, the kind of the society's version of beauty that we're all kind of portrayed is is a real compliment. But for me, I just feel really uncomfortable because I feel like, well, am I only worth something when I am slim? Does it mean that, the last few years where I have been bigger and in a bit bigger body, does that mean that like, you didn't care for me as much? I don't know if this is like an ADHD thing, but I think I take things that people say to me very, very literally. And so when people say to me, "Oh my God, you look amazing," la la la, and I know that I have recently lost weight, I feel really uncomfortable about that, because it's like, but I was an amazing person in whatever size body I was in. It doesn't mean that just because I've lost weight or toned up, that now all of a sudden I'm worth more. Or is it that because of the way our society has this kind of skewed version, that people genuinely do think I am worth more now that I'm slimmer? I know there's a lot to unpick here, and I know that very many of the people that make these comments to me are from older generations who have, constantly been given that narrative of like slim is better, and they just cannot help themselves to not do it. But for me, I feel like when I say, this is not acceptable to be having these conversations in front of my kids, those people tend to get quite defensive about it, because I don't think that they really realize that those little girls are ingesting that information, and I don't think they actually think there's anything wrong with it, because I think genuinely they do believe that being slimmer is better. So I'd love to know, like, if you've got any thoughts on kind of how we can kind of undo this narrative um of being slimmer is better. I suppose there's an element there of just having to be brave and challenge the status quo, but it still feels quite scary to me, because I struggle a lot with RSD, which is rejection sensitivity dysphoria, if you don't know what that is. And so speaking up feels kind of terrifying, because especially to people that I care about, or that people are close to me, family members, friends, because I worry that they're going to get super offended by whatever I say. But I'm in this kind of this like really awful place of like feeling uncomfortable and really wanting to say something, but actually like kind of scared to just come out and say it. So in true millennial style, I've come on the internet to talk about it. I just want to see here what people are saying here. Joe, I have this with my business rather than my looks. People compliment me on how hard I'm working, and inside I'm like, but I'm trying to unlearn that. Oh my God, Joe. Do you know what's really fascinating to me is like, I would fucking love it if people asked me about my business, but they never seem to. I think maybe because what I do is a bit out there, and they feel it's like certainly of a certain generation, they're like, oh, you teach people to garden on the internet. That's weird. Obviously, I teach people to garden in real life as well. But I think there's an element of like people not really getting what I do, so they don't ask me about my garden. I would bloody love for them. Oh, hey, Rosie. I'd love to know what you think on this, Rosie, and give your thoughts in the comments. But it's interesting, isn't it, that people compliment you on working. So a conversation came up yesterday when we had family round, and one of the family members said, oh, you know, yeah, they're working 7 days a week at the minute. And I was like, oh God, like that's a recipe for burnout. And I could visibly see that the older members kind of bristling, because I genuinely think they still believe this narrative of like, you know, if you're not working 24/7, you're not trying hard enough. When in my experience, I did that and I burnt out and it was a fucking shit show. And I was so unwell, and yet still, and you know, all my family and those close to me saw that, and yet they still kind of glorify this like constantly working thing. I'm here for, you know, doing less, and achieving what I want to achieve, rather than achieving, you know, earning millions of pounds and six figures and all of that bollocks. Like I don't want to do that. Like I want to earn enough to like have a bit of fun with my family, like pay for, you know, swimming lessons for my kid and stuff. I'm not here to be like earning millions, but my mission really is to be getting more women in their gardens and taking more time for them, because ultimately I feel very, very strongly, as I know you do as well, Joe, to that, you know, we need to be unlearning this constant working, because actually it's not serving anybody. It's keeping us like miserable, exhausted, stuck in this situation of like, but I'm always working and yet I can't seem to go anywhere. And it's like, actually what I found is the more time I take for myself in the garden, the more time I take for myself doing my Pilates in the morning, the more time I just like make a cup of tea, and instead of like drinking it at my desk, I come outside and I sit in the sunshine and I feel the sun on my face. The more that actually I feel more joyful, the more energy I have, and therefore when I am working, I'm actually more productive and I can do the things that I need to do in less time, because I'm giving myself those little breaks throughout the day. So that's why I really advocate, you know, gardening little and often. So I'm just checking, I can't see the screen very well because it's